Hello, folks. You want to prevent this from happening to your Honda snowblower, a break in the handlebars. I'm going to show you today how to prevent this, how to strengthen your handlebars, and how to repair if this happens. Let me show you this first. This usually happens on the older Honda snowblowers that have the pedal because you're always lifting up on the handlebars to put the pedal in a place. So after years and years and years, I see this a lot in the wintertime where the handlebars will break like they did here. And you can prevent this by a little bit of proactive work to it. Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that's been liking and subscribing these videos. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to help you save money. So let me show you what I do. Look at these supports that have been welding in here. See, here's the prior break. See, previous owner did a pretty good job on this. He took some, I believe it's 12 gauge. It might be 10 gauge. I usually just take uh, an old scraper bar, my one of my old scraper bars, and I think it's a 1/4 inch, and I'll cut the pieces out. And what you do is that if you want to be proactive or after the fact, like this guy did, you can weld in a gusset right here from the end. See, it usually breaks right about there. Sometimes it breaks here. You can weld a piece from here to like he did here. I usually go a step further and I go all the way down here. I've had articles on this on the Facebook group Honda Snowblower Enthusiasts, and I'll weld a piece from here up to here. So it's a pretty good support, and you can do it on both sides. And you can see how you put a bead here. And another thing you can do to strengthen your bars, you see, on a lot of Hondas, there's only one bolt from the upper bars. Here's the upper bars to the lower bars that goes to the engine bed. A lot of machines have one bolt. Some of the bigger machines have two. So what I do is I'll drill another hole here and put another bolt. So I'll double bolt both sides to really give it a lot of strength. Now let me show these handlebars here. This is what you don't want to do. I don't know why people do this. The handlebars broke down here, and he welded it all up with some kind of stock bar or whatever. And then after the fact, he drilled another hole in here to give it some extra support. Did so on the other side too, I believe. Yeah, this is another hole. Here's the original hole, I believe. And he put another hole here. And for some reason, he welded the top bars to the lower bars. I really wish people wouldn't do that, because when you weld the top bars to the lower bars, it's permanent, and you cannot remove the top bars. So you're really making it permanent almost. I mean, I've had to use a grinder, a cutting wheel and a grinder. I have been able to get these off, but it's a lot of work. So if you don't want to do this, I suggest you drill another hole in here. I think the 724s already have the double bolts. And I usually see the broken handlebars on the bigger machines because you got a lot more weight. I don't see them too much on the 724s, even though it's happened. But it's usually the bigger 928s, 1132s, 1332s. And like I said at the beginning, I'm talking about the older HS models where it has the height adjustment pedal. So you're putting a lot of strain on the handlebars when you're constantly lifting up the handlebars to put the pedal in a high spot or a middle spot or a low spot. Okay. And another problem that these handlebars have is that they crack right here on each end. You can see, I don't know if you can see that. There's a crack there, see? So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm looking for cracks, and invariably there's cracks here that I have to weld up. So I take the control panel off, and I can do all kinds of welding up here. And for safety, I have to mention this. Anytime I'm welding on a machine, I'm always putting a welding blanket over my engine. So you don't want to have a fire. I always keep a fire extinguisher handy when I'm welding. So if you look here, he welded in the gussets, and it looks like a pretty good job. And then he welded the bead first. He repaired it, and then welded the bead, and then painted it with some Rust-Oleum paint. Now let me show you what you can do when you're repairing this. Here's a broken handlebar. This is an old handlebar. It's a junk handlebar that I cut to show you what I do. I use 1/2 inch conduit pipe with a 3 inch long, and you want to make extra support in your handlebar when you're fixing this part. I put the conduit in there. I pound it in beforehand. I'll make a mark with Sharpie, okay, and I put a set screw. Can you see that? That way, sometimes this goes in nice and tight, and sometimes it's loose. If I wanted to stay put, I'll drill a hole and put a set screw in there, and then you can put this back on. You line up your marks as soon as you. It's like a puzzle. You line up your marks and you place it in there, and then you can weld a bead around the whole machine. And it's pretty common for these to break. Both sides, let's see, yeah, both sides broke on this one at the same time. A lot of times they'll just crack, and you're feeling some play when you're using the machine. You think it's down here somewhere, but it's cracked up here, and it's not cracked all the way through. So if you feel anything different when you're using your machine, do some eyeball inspections down here to see if it's cracking on you. If you can get it before it breaks totally off, like it did over here, you're miles ahead of the game. I mean, you don't have to cut it all the way through if you don't want to. Some people do. They'll just cut it all the way through and then put that this 1/2 inch conduit. It's a lot cheaper than brass. Some people use brass. This is fairly cheap. It's 1/2 inch by 3 inch, and you put it on. You put it in, and then put the bead around the break. So if you can get it before it breaks all the way through, you can just place a bead around the crack and probably be good to go. And then at the off season, if you want to, then you can weld in your gussets, from here down to here or down to here. Okay, the preparation takes a lot longer than the actual welding. And let me say, I know a lot of you people don't have welders. You're just homeowners, but usually a neighbor has a welder. You can. What I did before I had my welder is I traded work with my next door neighbor. He had a welder. He'd do welding for me, and I'd do work for him too. So either that, or you can take it to tell the welder. You do all the prep work. Maybe they can get you the metal. They probably have the metal if it's a metal shop, and they can weld it up pretty quickly. I mean, running the bead around here and running the bead, for your gusset, it only takes a few minutes. The preparation work is always a lot longer. Cutting out the metal. What I do is I cut out the metal, I measure it, cut it out, prep the metal. You want to grind it. Get the paint off and everything, grind it, get it all set up. The setup for this job takes a lot longer than the actual welding. So I hope this helps you folks. If you have an older Honda and you want to shore up your handlebars so they don't break in the middle of a snowstorm like they always do. Your Honda's not going to break when it's sitting in the garage. It's going to break when you're using it. So that's another good inspection point. You want to inspect your handlebars and inspect for cracks down here, inspect for cracks there, and try to be proactive. So thank you for watching, folks. We'll see you next time.